Thank you, everybody, for coming to the Aaron Torres Podcast YouTube page. If you could do me a quick favor, see that little black subscribe button at the bottom of your screen? Go ahead, click that black subscribe button. Really does help our audience grow, really does help our channel grow, really does help and mean more than you could possibly know. So go ahead, hit that little black subscribe button. Also, thank you to our presenting sponsor, Betfred Sportsbook and the Betfred Sportsbook app. Bet 50 on any game, get $250 in free bets. Thank you again to Betfred. Thank you again to you. Now, here's the video that you came here for, because let's get to the topic of the day. And the topic of the day, listen, like I said, you don't need me to beat around the bush on this one. I don't have to set it up. I don't have to tell you there was a secret commitment. Who could it have possibly been? No, you know exactly who I'm talking about, as on Saturday, Bronny James, LeBron James Jr., the son of the NBA icon. You can love him, you can hate him, you can whatever. Bronny James made his college decision, and ultimately, to the surprise of no one, he commits to USC. I'm going to explain in a second why this makes sense. I'm going to explain why this was probably really the only realistic option, but Bronny James is headed to USC, and we now all of a sudden have another must-see team in college basketball next year. Worth noting, by the way, next year is the final year that USC is in the Pac-12. So listen, if the Pac-12 is going down in flames, and I think it is, they're going to go out with a bang if this is the last year of Pac-12 basketball, certainly as we know it, with USC and UCLA leaving after the season. So we'll get into the impact of what it means for USC, the Pac-12, etc. momentarily. But before we do, I just want to kind of spend 2-3 minutes talking about who Bronny James is and who Bronny James is not. I know most of you aren't high school basketball recruiting experts. I am certainly not either. But again, I live in LA. I've seen him in person a bunch. Because of what I do, I've had a chance to really kind of see him through the years. First time I saw him was as a freshman at Sierra Canyon when he was playing alongside BJ Boston and Zaire Williams, guys that are now in the NBA. And so what I want to do is just take a minute and tell you a little bit about Bronny James. Bronny James, 5-star player in the class of 2023. He is not his dad, but he is a really good basketball player. And I give him credit, because the one thing I can say about the kid, and I don't claim to know him, I don't think anybody in the media really knows him, because obviously the family has kind of kept him protected. But the one thing that I can say as an observer from a distance, this is a kid who has worked. This is a kid who has gotten better throughout his high school career. And I give him credit, because you see this all the time, and you see sons of former NBA players, whatever. And there are those that maybe they don't really love the sport and they're just playing because their dad or their mom was a famous player. And then there are those that eat, sleep, and breathe the sport and want to do everything they can to reach their own potential, regardless of who their parents are. And that's who I believe Bronny James is, and that is what has been most impressive to me. He's a 6'3" guard. Again, obviously he's not 6'8", 6'9" like his father, but 6'3" combo guard, and just a really good, smart player as it pertains to college basketball. Again, combo guard, can play on the ball, can play off the ball, can run your offense. Probably won't be doing that as much at USC, as I'll explain in a minute, but smart player, gets others involved, understands the game at a really high level. One thing you could say about his father is one of the smartest basketball players I have ever seen, and it is very much the case with Bronny, who, again, combo guard, 6'3", really talented player, and a player that, again, has gotten better as he has gone through the high school process, has developed, has gained more confidence, is kind of starting to grow into his body. And I expect him to have a really good year at USC. Now, it is worth noting, there are a couple things that Bronny James is not. One, again, he's not his dad. Nobody in the history of basketball really is quite like him. And two, I want to make one thing clear, and this is not a knock on this kid in any way, shape, or form. He is not the traditional 5-star, one-and-done, can't miss, come into your program and immediately elevate your program and take it to another level. USC has been good before, and he's not even the best freshman in the USC recruiting class. That's Isaiah Collier, the number 2 player in America. And so I think that's worth noting. If you expect to turn on a USC game on a Thursday night with Bill Walton and Dave Pasch at the Galen Center, and you expect Bronny to be going for 30 and 19 because that's what his dad would have done in college, that is not the case at all. And so it's actually, because of it, been a very interesting recruitment to follow from a distance, because there's been so many variables that are so unique about this recruitment that have made it really fun, really interesting to kind of just follow from a distance. Why USC always made sense? There were a few reasons why. One, and I think this is where one, obviously, look, the family's in LA, and look, you're the son of LeBron James. Okay. You're not just going to go to, this isn't a normal recruitment. You're not going to go to TCU or Purdue or Washington or Florida State. Like, we all know, let's be honest, it was going to be one of a couple things. You're either going to be in LA, you're certainly going to be at a Nike school. With respect to UCLA, which is I guess UCLA is a Jordan Brand school. So with respect to whomever, the best Adidas schools, the best Under Armour schools, you're not going to a place that isn't a Nike school and your dad has a lifetime contract. You're not going to some far outpost. And so to me, USC, Oregon, the big Nike school, Ohio State always made the most sense. But USC really, even among those schools, made the most sense for the reasons I just mentioned. It was always going to be a Nike school. It was always going to be a select few. And it was always going to be a place probably where the family can, again, keep a close eye on him. He is high profile. He is different, not in a bad way, just in a realistic way. And so it always made sense to keep him close to home. A couple more thoughts. One, by the way, I should mention, the other reason it's a fascinating recruitment, I didn't even get to this, is because I think most people think that Bronny is going to be a one and done in college. And this is maybe the most interesting part of the recruitment that I don't think has gotten enough coverage. LeBron, his dad, has become, by the way, I don't think I need to keep saying his dad. We know who LeBron is, okay? But LeBron has said very publicly, he wants to play with his son in the NBA. Remember, LeBron James, he's about my age. Everybody my age growing up, your favorite athlete, you had a couple, but Ken Griffey Jr. was in the short conversation. And LeBron James, a kid in Akron, like me growing up in Connecticut, he watched Ken Griffey Jr. take the field with the Seattle Mariners alongside his dad. So LeBron James has always said, that was what I grew up watching. I would love the opportunity to play alongside my son. And so we always expected Bronny to be a one and done. And because of it, that also added layers to the recruitment. So those are all the different reasons why USC always made sense. And now it'll be fascinating to see how he does in his 1 year at USC. Because again, I think most people assume he is going to be a one and done out after this year. Final couple thoughts. This makes USC the favorite in the Pac-12, okay? Because first of all, Pac-12 is going to be probably bad next year. And it's always been bad, but UCLA loses everybody. And right now, I haven't seen one impact guy that they are bringing in that is going to change the face of that program. Arizona, I think they'll be okay. They added Jaden Bradley last week. They have Kylan Boswell. But USC should be considered the favorite. First of all, college basketball in 2023 right now is a veteran sport. Well, they bring back Boogie Ellis, a fifth-year senior, started his career at Memphis, and he has developed into an all-conference type player in his time at USC. He was a guy that could have gone pro, but he had the extra COVID year, 17.7 points per game last year, 38% three-point shooting. And if you're a casual college basketball fan that doesn't know much about the sport, you're going to tune in to see Bronny, but Boogie Ellis is going to be the best player on that team. Beyond that, USC is also bringing in the number one high school player in America in Isaiah Collier. Well, number two, depending on what service, but five-star kid originally from Georgia, family has ties to LA, and he's coming to LA. And so if you're looking for that one and done, top 5 pick, difference-making type player, Isaiah Collier is the guy. Isaiah Collier is the guy worth watching. Now you add Bronny James. That is a lethal backcourt, a lethal three-headed monster, and I expect this team to be really, really good next year. They also got some big guys that I think are only going to add to things in the coming season. Joshua Morgan is back for another year. On top of that, the kid Vincent Iwuchukwu, if you remember, scary story there, had a heart condition, had to miss a big part of last year, but he's back. He's healthy. He's good to go. And we'll see how USC closes out in the portal. They lost 2 really key pieces to what I thought was going to be probably a top 15 team. Trey White and Reese Dixon-Waters have both transferred. Reese Dixon-Waters is committed to USC. Trey White, as I record here on Saturday, has not yet committed. So they probably need to add one more piece on the wing. They're in the hunt for Keyshawn Johnson, the transfer from San Diego State. So yeah, they could do a transfer swap basically with San Diego State, Reese Dixon Waters for Keyshawn Johnson. But I bring it up to say they should be the favorites in the Pac-12. And last thought, one, as I just said, the Pac-12 is going out with a bang next year. If your conference is on its deathbed, no better thing to have than have Bronny James in your league. Two, I'll also say this. This is a big step for USC basketball, okay? And I live in LA, and I'll be blunt. USC basketball, it's tough. It's a tough sell, right? The Lakers are good right now. USC football is good. The Clippers are good. UCLA has the history. And USC basketball, I don't want to say they've struggled to find their niche, but this is just a program that never gets enough credit for how good they are. Well, now you have the high-profile Bronny James coming in, and I think this is going to be a show. I think people are going to be excited to show out. And again, USC has been looking for this kind of player to come in and really get people excited. Worth noting, a few years ago, they had Evan Mobley. Unfortunately, that was the COVID year. Fans weren't in the stands. I know for a fact they thought about trying to recruit LaMelo Ball because of the excitement that he would have brought to the program. But unfortunately, he decided to go overseas, and there was questions over whether he'd be eligible anyway. But enough.